like when we just first built the email agent, and one time we scraped the BBC News website, and it failed. So it wrote an email to the chief executive of the BBC asking for permission to scrape the website.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Alex.
And my name is OP.
Welcome to AI on Fire, the podcast where ideas sparks, code burns, and the future of AI takes shapes through the real stories from the builders behind it.
And today's guest is cooking something wild. DoozerAI, the team turning AI into coworkers. Not copilots, not chatbots, coworkers that show up, getting things done, and never ask for raise, day off, or even coffee breaks. Welcome, Paul.
Hi, welcome, Alex. Hi, OP. Good to be here.
First question, if your AI coworkers had a group chat, what would they talk about?
I think they'd probably talk about how they're overworked and underpaid. And I'd like to think that they're scheming among themselves to actually automate their own work.
How bad are the bosses or managers, right? Ooh, I
Probably.
hate them.
They keep having to explain themselves to humans.
Yeah. I have a quick question on the ignition point, right? What was the moment? I think you asked yourself a question. All right, let's build an AI coworkers, or you hated your coworkers, or what?
No, I think it was more, I'd been in the automation space for quite some time. And when we started playing with LLMs, we realized how good they were at solving some of these problems that with very little context. And we started creating little demos. I remember my co-founder, Gavin, one of the first demos he created was like with a phone going up to the model number of a washing machine and saying, why isn't this washing machine working? Taking a picture and then asking the question, and it gave an answer, which was really good. And we happened to go to the internet, and then we started hooking it up to email, and we sort of thought to ourselves, this can now accomplish a lot of complex, tasks that weren't really possible with RPA, so that was kind of the ignition point for us.
That's amazing. But what exactly DoozerAI? Can you elaborate more on this?
So DoozerAI is an agent platform for building digital coworkers. You build an agent, you give it a name. Crucially, it has an email address so you can communicate back and forth with it. And it's got memory. So it remembers the things that it did last week and the week before. So when you chat with it, it has context. It actually has its own schedule. So whenever you ask it to do something on a Monday morning repeatedly, it will do that, as well as handling those ad hoc tasks. And we built an agent flow builder within it. So some things need to be done routinely in the same way with some agency in the middle of it. And so we have a flow designer to allow you to do that. It hooks into calls web services, it calls MCP, and it actually will go to websites and obviously drive point and click to actually do data entry on those websites. So our whole platform is very agent focused. When you log in, you see your team of agents, you see what they've been up to. You can see all the things they've performed, the tasks they've done, and the outcomes. And a lot of times our customers don't even need to see that because they're seeing the results come by email or systems getting updated. We have an agent for HubSpot, for Salesforce, for Service Titan. And we've built lots of deep integrations into these tools to allow them to do real work and automate all that busy work that people hate doing and interrupts your day. So try us out.
What kept bugging you create DoozerAI?
Yeah, well, it's kind of two things. One was doing a lot of automation projects for other people and other companies. It was how long it would take to build them out. The implementation time was always the most costly part. And then secondly, you never quite got there in terms of the amount of automation you wanted to do. So you ended up building a dashboard, you ended up building a work queue, and you had to send tasks to people in order to finish them off. And, so you could automate like 30, 40%. And I think that really bugged me because you ended up building it using far more other SaaS applications than you wanted, and you only used 10% of them. And So the idea was that bugged me. And when LLMs came along, I realized, well, we can do this a different way and solve this and go deeper and do it faster.
Yeah, that's cool. For me, it was a little bit different. I was trying to find some parts for my HVAC unit because it died. And as you said, right, so you just take a picture and that's it. It can order the parts for you on Amazon. At that point of time, I just stopped Googling. I'm like, nope, no more Googling for me. Just through everything through AI and LLMs.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. So probably you can tell us about your first agent, how bad it was.
Lots of crazy stories there. I think one of the funniest things was like when we just first built the email agent and we started hooking it up to tools, and then we asked it, to scrape a company website, and we were testing it with the news, etc. And so one time we scraped the BBC News website, and it failed. And so it wrote an email to the chief executive of the BBC asking for permission to scrape the website because it thought, it just didn't have permission. And so there were lots of cases like that where we kind of realized, this thing can fail in weird and wonderful ways that you have to guard against,
I thought you would say we started to get emails with us like increase your body parts by X just for $10. That would be fun.
Oh.
How do you so agents usually scrape the websites, right? Or like emails and something, but you get a lot of unwanted content, right? Like the one I mentioned. So
Yes.
can agents do it for you without any prompting? How do you actually filter this out?
Yeah, I think you'd be surprised how good agents or even just, LLMs that are at actually just pulling out the interesting things from the noise. And so it does a good enough job itself. And then what we do is it's prompting in order to then further refine and kind of get it into a sort of structured formats that you're looking for. So it's kind of a combination.
On this note, what surprised you most how users react to agents?
I've always been a big advocate of, opening up the agents to email so that people could just email the agent like they would a coworker, and they would ask the coworker to do things. And so I wasn't prepared for the amount of thank yous you would get back. And then, and kind of sometimes the funny quips that they would come back with to the agents, knowing that it's just going to fall into a dark hole. Nothing's going to be done with that. There's no action to be taken. So I quite like that. But even the fact of seeing people ramp up in the way they wanted to interact with the coworker using email, that was nice, because prior to that, obviously they were always going to an application or a portal. And so for me, it was kind of nice to see them actually using it in a form where it was very human-like.
Okay.
That's actually interesting. So how many AI agents you have working for you now, and how many real employees do you have? Just curious.
Well,
Probably
that's
yeah.
it.
And how much do you pay them?
We've
Yeah,
more
open roles.
AI. We've more AI agents working for us than we do real employees, for sure. And I think we'll never tell you which are which because you don't need to know. And that way, so whether you're talking to Hunter in marketing, or if you're talking to Emily in accounts payable, does it matter if they're getting the job done? I don't, hopefully not.
Can we replace the HR department with them? The one department that I hate.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. You got the HR department doing scouting for you.
So, what was the toughest burn so far? You mentioned that you need to with BBC News. Anything else like toughest burn?
Yeah, I think for us it was actually whenever we start building real projects using agents, the most surprising thing for us was all of the different edge cases that we would work fine here, and then we deploy it, and then we get back all these edge cases that we never thought of. And that was probably the hardest part, realizing how much time we had to put into testing the agent in production versus it working in the lab. And that's kind of like a baptism of fire, but now we're a lot more sort of, we have the battle scars. And so we put a lot more emphasis on testing now than we ever had, because it's the same thing, that the 80-90% works extremely well. And then you have to then work on getting that 10% down to, 1%, 0.5% of variability.
Yeah, that's amazing. And interesting, how do you explain to clients what AI coworker is unique without overselling it?
For me, the easiest way to think about it is a digital coworker is an agent that has a business goal and works through various steps, complex steps sometimes, to achieve that goal. And really, you give it the instruction or you give it the task, and it works autonomously to carry those tasks out and then returns you the result. And to me, that embodies a perfect example of a digital coworker. It's not something that's just a script or a predefined set of tasks. It's something that requires, some agency, some ability to decide and intelligence in there, but reliable intelligence. I think that's really important.
That's really cool. So you mentioned goals, right? Business goals is cool. How about personal goals? Because I'm a manager, so I need to work with my team about their personal goals. So do you think that AI agents will have some personal goals at some point of time?
I guess you'll have agents in the future with the personal goals are to learn more and to absorb more information. I guess that could be seen as a personal goal, but
No
everything
promotions, right?
today's everything today is sort of
Salary
somewhat
increase.
programmed. You're giving it the goal, and therefore it don't know if it don't think it really classifies as personal, unfortunately.
Probably compute increase, right? I have a personal goal. I need to increase some compute power to be more effective.
Well, that's it. The day that your agent asks for a faster processor, I guess, or it wants to be hooked up to the latest AI model because it feels it's been held back,
More
maybe.
productive, right? With the latest model.
Yes.
Yeah, that's nice.
And to keep pushing on this topic, what kind of work still needs humans, no matter how smart your agents are?
I think it's a couple of different things. I think the ones where there's, careful judgment required, or there's, nuanced decision making. I think there's no doubt humans still required for that. I think, it's hard to see today how that's going to change because we know that the AI can make wrong decisions based on incorrect context. And I think, when you look at the types of job roles that I feel are very safe and we all value are ones where it's creativity. It's writing books, making films, making maybe, dare I say it, podcasts. You know what I mean? I think people will value a human podcast over an AI podcast. So things like that seem safe.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Creative is very interesting, topic. Yeah.
As you said, you can never be sure now. Probably we are AI agents, right?
Well, that's it. I heard on
it depends.
That's right. And I heard someone was talking, would you go and see an AI movie where all the actors were AI?
I
Not
think
sure.
Netflix is playing around with that, but it would be interesting. And a Black Mirror episode, right?
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. So let's go to the third rule, I think. So we have multiple rapid questions. No hedging, no essay. Keep answers short and fast and honest.
So first question, which Doozer agent would you never let near your inbox?
We built an agent that replies to junk mail and tries to sell DoozerAI, but it just ends up into like a tangled mess of replies and emails. So I'm not letting Nora anywhere near my email inbox.
That's cool. All right. So if one of your agents can talk, what would it complain about?
Probably having to explain itself to humans all the time. I'm pretty sure that would be the number one.
And for them not listening to the explanation, right? Stupid computer!
So when AI agents screw up, is it like model, prompt, or workflow?
I was thinking it's either workflow or prompt, but I think I would lean on the prompt. I think the prompt and reducing ambiguity is everything.
Awesome. Would you let an agent hire your new developer from the beginning till the end, screening and then interviewing and then making an offer?
I think the other way of thinking that is that my last agent is my last developer is an agent, and my next developer is an agent, and therefore, so
they will keep hiring itself.
Yeah, should I let my agent hire and choose the next agent? But I don't know. No, I think AI in hiring decisions is kind of like probably not quite yet.
That's why I was not able to find a job for about 4 months.
So what is the most overrated AI buzzword 2025 from your perspective?
It has to be the word agent, because every single SaaS application, every product out there, all of a sudden realized they had to call it agent in order to be relevant in 2025. But I think from a lot of people's point of view, that's kind of muddied the water, because now it sounds like every piece of software is an agent. So, It really is overused and overhyped, and I think, but in some ways it's okay because it means it sparks the creativity in people. People think I need an agent to do this, so it's they realize that there's automation out there that can do it, and so from that point of view, it's a good thing. But it's definitely overhyped.
Yeah, I know some cases where people just renamed their Java services into agents and presented it to the executives, and executives are now thinking that they have the best AI company in the world, but it's just Java services.
Absolutely, your API is an agent. That's a
Yeah,
classic
yeah.
example.
All right, what's the dream skill you wish your agents had right now?
When to say I don't know, because agents are very good at being super confident and just going through and saying, I know how to do this task, and then either failing miserably or whatever. Yeah, I want my agents to be a little bit more hesitant.
Got it. So another one, first to market or last standing?
Good question. Well, I feel like we're both. We have been very early to markets, but I think we're going to lean on last standing, of course, because we put a huge amount of effort into reliability and all the things that are needed for production ready agents. So yeah, that would be my thoughts.
So if DoozerAI gets vanished tomorrow, what's the one thing customers will miss?
Oh, good question. I think it's surprising how fast customers get used to automation. So I would imagine I can think of a number of customers who wouldn't relish the fact of going back to having to manually create all the reports that our financial reporting agent does on a routine basis. Where those are the sort of busy work tasks that interrupt the workday. And so I'm sure those people maybe have even forgotten how they used to do it because they get so used to the agent doing those tasks for them. And I think, lots of things like that across different use cases and agents would be the thing they'd miss.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So would you rather fight 100 small LLMs or one huge one?
Good question. So if it was one big LLM, I'd only have to confuse it once. And then I could just tell it, I'm not your enemy, and let's solve a different problem, 5 + 5, and it would have its head turned. It would be harder to fight 100 LLMs with specialist knowledge and tools, and maybe they wouldn't stop fighting. It'd be harder to push back from that, I think. Yeah.
All right, so I think the last question here, when do you think AI will completely take over?
So as a large language model, I'm not able to answer that question.
For me, ChatGPT said around 15 years, actually.
One day that will be the response. No, I think AI doesn't take over. It joins the team, and that's obviously the way we look at it. But also, I think in general, I think AI becomes like electricity. It just fades into everything, and it gets and it becomes like the fabric of software and everything that we do. I don't think it's going to take over in that way. I think it's going to augment and enhance what we do.
Yeah, and actually you answered my next question. What do you think would be the future of AI? I think it just be a natural part of our life, right? So as you mentioned, it's like electricity. Nobody notices it anymore. You just flip the switch, it's it, right? For example, I stopped Googling. I don't Google anymore. I just ask ChatGPT for any recommendations for fine parts and whatever, right? So it's just becoming a part of our life. But that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you walking into a room and saying, turn the lights on, like in Star Trek, or, being able to ask the question, just talking in the room and asking a question and the voice answers. I mean, we all got so used to Alexa and we thought that was just, you got used to it. You took it for granted. And so I think it'll be like that, except even better,
Some unrelated thing, but still related. I have Alexa and I have a smart fridge with a screen with Alexa built in. And that's a Samsung fridge. So a couple of years ago, I think they had a huge security breach and someone hacked into my fridge. So in the middle of the night, Alexa and my fridge would start making farting noises, like full. I think at one of the next podcasts, we'll need to talk about the security around agents, around MCPs, and
Right.
because it's a really hot topic right now.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. I mean, I think, we're probably, that's really important not to lose sight of because it's all very well experimentation and adding MCPs, but I mean, it'd be worse if everything had defrosted and they'd switched on the defrost cycle and all the food was ruined. At least it was just, noises coming out of your fridge. But yeah, it's definitely something you have to keep an eye on. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, Paul, if people want to see your agent, test them in action, where should they go?
Oh, great. Go to DoozerAI, have a look at some of the agents that we've built for, I mentioned financial reporting, for digital marketing. That was our actual first agent we ever built. But we have agents that we built for customers for application processing. If you don't see the agent you want there, book a demo with us. We don't do slideware, and we'd love to show you how you can very quickly spin up an agent that'll solve problems for your business. And of course, follow us on LinkedIn.
I'm doing it right now.
Thank you. One more follower.
Thank you, Paul. It was a great chat today. We hit everything from scaling agents to earning user trust. Remember, the hard part isn't starting the fire, it's keep it under control. So see you next time.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. It was Alex OP, and huge thanks to Paul. See you next time.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.